everyone. It is Dan. I am your host today on Fireside Reviews. Today we are just going to be having a discussion with no clips, a discussion on Star Wars and where we think the future direction of Star Wars is going to lead it. Enjoy.
All right. So
Wow, you were just like over there. Now you're
I
right
know.
here.
what?
It's
Wow.
crazy. I got powers. All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Okay,
Space
so
Stone, anyone?
Alright, so talking today about Star Wars and where we think the future of Star Wars is going to go and how we think characters are going to end, how we think this series is going to end.
And
Oh
how
boy,
we would
this
like
is
it to
a long
end.
discussion.
Yes.
For example, I want to see more ATM 6s.
They were pretty cool.
Like, we got them for half a second, they did literally nothing, and then that was all.
What I want to see more of.
ATM6, which ones are
Those
those?
are
Like
they're
the
the
AT-ATs?
Gorilla
The big
walkers.
walkers.
Yeah.
Gorilla
I
walkers.
mean, that's like asking Hoth to have the AT-ATs do something.
Yeah.
All they did was fall down.
I mean, we kind of saw that with Rogue One, but like, I want to see more with ATM 6s, like this huge, big scale battle,
Mhm.
like
The funniest
something
part,
that's actually good.
the funniest part is they saw that the AT-ATs didn't work in one very important battle, so they decided
make
the
'em
First Order
bigger.
decided, let's just model our next thing after that.
Well, they
that
did
didn't
work. They did annihilate the rebels in that.
Yeah, but,
in the
like,
Battle of Hoth.
I mean-
they could have failed miserably. Like,
Yeah.
the same way. I don't know why the rebels didn't think of that. Like, just attach a line to your like ski speeder and just go around
Yeah.
the thing.
So
they
I
pretty
think
much.
They just didn't
They
have
seemed
enough
more.
of them.
They seemed more based out. Like they were more like their legs were kind of like at an angle, whereas with
And
the
they did
ATX
this.
6s they were like right
It's-
under.
it's
And
like
they had the fist.
They had the fist.
Yeah.
It's almost like they adopted the Soviet Russia strategy. When something doesn't work, put a bigger gun on its back and just fire at people.
you have to remember though that the AT-ATs, they were also about intimidation, right?
Yeah.
And they were about
And these things
you
are definitely.
hear them coming, you are terrified because you know that these things they're armored to the gill. They've got cannons and blasters. They're filled up with troopers and,
yeah.
and all sorts of other things. And stormtroopers, they were scary. I mean, granted, they can't seem to hit a bullseye to save
Only
their lives.
Imperial
But
Yeah.
their
stormtroopers are so
intimidation,
precise.
that thumping as they get closer and closer.
I mean, they're
and
super
in Hoth,
slow, but
you
They're-
see that.
yeah.
You see that they're there in the trenches, and you can see that they're afraid because they know what's coming at them.
and that's why that movie was the best, because it had AT-ATs in
Yeah.
it, and it was just really cool.
And that's the thing about the new trilogy is it seems like everybody's made this argument before is that they kind of took a lot of inspiration from the original
But why
trilogy.
shouldn't they? That
Like,
one
Of
succeeded.
course, yeah. But like the thing that kind of annoyed me was, the director situation. Like they changed directors completely from The Force Awakens
Yeah, that
to
was
The
a
Last
bit of an
Jedi.
odd decision.
And then
It
what
was.
surprised me the most was J.J. Abrams. He made a draft for 8 and 9. And, he made a draft for those movies so that he could actually plan the arc. But then we were told that Rian Johnson was given complete creative control over the entire
I assume they
Episode 8,
generally took
which-
sort of what he was going with because they knew that
No,
they were
they
going to
said-
try to do it.
Daisy Ridley even said herself that nothing was kept from the original script of the movie. So that he completely rewrote the thing, which was kind of... We're not going to talk about whether that was a mistake or not on this episode.
I mean, like,
A
there
lot
were
of
good
people
parts
agree
and
it was.
bad parts.
In
We
terms
all
of
know.
like characters and stuff, one character that's really, I guess, interesting and kind of contentious in a lot of cases is the character of Rey.
Mm.
Oh gosh.
And the way that she is like moving in terms of character arc. It's interesting to see how she has almost a Luke Skywalker story, but this time she's, more on her own when she starts out. And then the way that I think one of the biggest things is like she's so powerful.
Mhm.
She's like really, really powerful right away. And
I mean, maybe they'll explain that.
no,
with
they're
who her
definitely going to
parents
explain
are,
it.
They have to.
Almost
but-
definitely.
The argument has been made hundreds of times that she's a Mary Sue. Yeah, and like, there has been theories on it that are actually very entertaining that she's like a Sith, like, apprentice or something. She was a sleeper agent or something, which it kind of makes sense, but obviously that's not what they're going to go for. Like, obviously that's
Okay.
not what they're going to go for.
You're gonna if you're gonna listen to every wingnut fan theory out there.
I said that's not what they're going to go
I'm-
for. I know that's not what she is, but I mean, it makes more sense than she just has force powers
What
automatically.
I'm really interested to see in 9, and I really hope that they take this direction as like the main focus of the movie, they talk a lot about, like, even more so than before, about like balance in the Force. And like, we always think of like, okay, so the good guys have to win, but the Jedi, all they talk about is balance, even though it's 300 Jedi, 2 Sith, you know? Like, it's not exactly balanced, and I wonder if they're going to explore the concept
Not
of how
exactly,
to balance.
only.
Not exactly, only a little off. I wonder, because, like, when you think about it, too, it's like, do you necessarily want balance? Do you want the dark side to be, like,
Equal to the light.
have any power? But at the same time, it's like, whenever the light side has had full power in the past, it didn't work.
The
Well,
So I
dark
wonder if they're going to
rises and the
explore
light
that.
Well, that
hit
also
it.
that brings up Mace Windu. Like, you remember Mace Windu? His lightsaber was purple, which is mostly because Samuel L. Jackson said he wanted a purple lightsaber.
he likes the
but
color purple. Yeah.
but you know, George Lucas kind of found a way to be like, but it's this reason, you know, instead
It's
of
Yeah.
just
not
giving
just
it that.
because
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson
It's
wants a purple lightsaber, and that was the
blue-
only way we could get him to do this. It's
Yeah.
also because
blue and red make purple, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like you can argue that, you know, Mace Windu kind of used both sides of the Force, tapped into both of them, and that could be what they mean by balance in the Force. Not necessarily choose the Jedi or the Sith way, but instead just learn the Force, you know, as a thing.
The other thing that I think you could think about as a metaphor is like a set of scales, right? When you just start putting weights on and items on scales, they do a lot of this, right? But then when things start to balance out, they stop doing so many extremes and kind of balance out.
right. So
Yeah.
it started with the Jedi
And so it was
being
teetering
like
this way.
there's a lot of light power and very little dark power,
and then,
and then it went
Execute
down,
Order
and then it got
66.
closer and closer and closer. And now we're getting to that point.
And I
The
think they're
balance.
Perfectly
setting
balanced
up.
as all things should be.
I think they're setting up Kylo Ren and Rey almost as, for lack of a better word, like avatars of each side.
A soap
Yes.
opera.
Mhm.
Whereas, where like Rey is really like really symbolic of everything that the light side kind of has embodied. You know, the hope, the like kind of optimism that she has, that is what and eventually got Luke around to joining their battle, sort of. In the end of the Last Jedi, sort of.
Sort of.
And Kylo Ren is very much
Angsty
that
teenager.
conflicted, that angry, that like chaotic kind of side of
But
the
he's
Force.
That's the
willing
But at the
coolest
same
part-
time,
that's
he's
the-
like an angsty teenager. So I mean,
I know.
He
Kylo
is
Ren's
willing
he's
to
so
do stuff.
inconsistent, the character.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's kind of poorly written.
That's
I
that's
think- I
actually
think
what
that's
I
a
like
good
about
thing.
him.
Yeah,
I
I agree
His
with Mr.
character
Dixon.
development.
He's not a good bad guy. Like
Yeah.
when you look at Darth Vader and the Emperor, they're just pure evil, right?
And that's why we
But when
love
you
Darth
look
Vader
at
and the Emperor.
Kylo Ren, he is not a very good bad guy. He wants to be a bad guy. He wants to be on the dark side, but yet he's got all of these conflicts.
Which is where I think they
Right?
can really
He didn't kill his
dig
mom.
into that whole balance thing.
Yeah, and like, you know, the thing is,
And if you can't
He's
kill your
a-
mom, then you're not a
he's
bad
a
guy.
whiny, like, cranky guy, and that's the annoying part is when he throws his little, like, tantrums. Like, you know, when he broke his helmet in the elevator because Snoke told him, you know, you didn't kill your dad hard enough.
You can't
You're
tell
just
me
a
that,
boy
that Darth
in a
Vader and the
mask.
Emperor never had their temper tantrums.
Yeah,
They-
well,
I mean,
Darth
they
Vader
must
choked
have.
people.
can we
for
just like
queens,
put a
like-
giant finger at Rogue One in the
Oh,
corridor?
God.
I mean, clearly, like, I think that's like a dark side thing is that it's about your emotions, and if you're going to be angry, vent that emotions on
that anger
whoever is
flow
standing
through
nearby.
It's all like control versus
Yeah.
not control.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what they're doing in terms of what like Rey and Kylo, how they're setting up and I guess juxtaposing Rey and Kylo Ren.
I think if we're talking about theories and what we think the future is, right? This is the end of the Skywalker saga, right? My
the
theory
Skywalkers
is
are
that,
kind of a
is
problem.
that Ben Skywalker, Kylo Ren, is going to have to die in this movie because this is the end of the Skywalker. He is the last Skywalker now,
Yeah.
right?
Well, sort
So-
of.
Not
My-
Leia. Leia's
He's-
still alive, remember?
Well,
my theory
About
is
that.
You know, pixie
Yeah.
dust.
somehow we're going to get Kylo Ren to redeem himself, but in the process he's going to sacrifice himself. So he's going to end up going from the dark side into the light side, but in that process he is going to become, you know, more
A
like
gray Jedi.
So he's gonna in the process of dying he's going to redeem the Skywalker name. Which is very similar to what happened to Darth Vader. And notice in the Force Awakens, you have that where he was like worshiping the Darth Vader helmet. He wants to be just like Darth Vader, and maybe he becomes just like Darth Vader and ends up turning at the last minute back to the light side, makes a heroic.
I mean, that's kind of what he
attempt to
did
be
when he
good
killed
again.
Snoke. But like,
I don't
feel
think
like
that was a light side motivated thing.
I
though.
think he
I
was
feel
hating
that's-
Snoke. I think he just
Yeah.
took out his aggression on Snoke because he hated him.
Yeah,
Snoke was kept.
But it was
he
still
kept
similar
degrading
to
him
like
no matter what
the,
he did. Like Kylo would go, he would kill civilians,
I mean,
like
because-
slaughter
and
civilians.
he was doing it to kind of help, like, save Rey.
I mean,
Yeah.
Too, I
Kylo Ren
think.
is no Sith. The whole Sith propaganda machine died off with the Emperor and Darth Vader in the Death Star. But it was a
so
very
we
Sith
thought.
thing to do: kill the master and then ask the
Yeah.
nearest person next to you, "Hey, you want to become my apprentice?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's
That's
true.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Have you heard
You
the
know,
story
again-
of Darth
But I think
Vegas the
that's-
Why?
But I do think that also shows kind of the complexity of Kylo Ren. Did he do that to save Rey, or did he see that as an opportunity to further
Yeah.
himself? And that to me is one of the complexity of Kylo Ren. I think he's one of the best bad guys we've seen in a long time, and I love that
Thanos?
Hollywood. I love
Yeah,
that
beside him.
Hollywood is exploring
Yeah.
these really
Conflicting,
complex
like-
bad guys.
Yeah,
Can we,
because
like-
it's better than just like, oh, I'm just evil. I just want to kill
Like
everyone. That's it.
Palpatine.
Yeah.
I've just killed the
People
big bad
have-
guy, but then I just killed Luke Skywalker.
One argument
Yeah.
I do disagree with on The Last Jedi was how Snoke was completely like
Oblivious.
irrelevant. But like the thing was, before the prequels, how much did we know about Emperor Palpatine?
Yeah, it's
He's like
We knew
pretty
he was
much
an
nothing.
evil guy who
He
was Darth Vader's
Was
master.
he even in the fourth, like, at all?
We're gonna get like
They mentioned
we're gonna
it.
get like
Yeah.
10,
I
11,
think that was
12,
all.
and they're gonna be before the Republic
Before the
even happened.
prequels. They're gonna be prequels.
The old
They're
They're gonna be
Republic.
Old Republic, which is the stuff we've been asking for.
Well,
So-
it's gonna be off those weird kids on Canto Bight because of course we have to go back to Canto.
Oh my God! Aren't they making a TV show on the guy from Rogue One that no one remembers the name
Cassian?
of? Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I've
like
heard that,
nobody
yeah.
knows about that guy. Nobody cares
I
about a
don't know.
TV
I
show.
thought it was
I
kind of
enjoyed
neat
him as a
I think
character.
that he was pretty cool. I think that would be a fun TV show to watch.
He was
the
the-
Mandalorian one.
It's gonna be definitely fun, but like nobody wanted something like somebody could have. You know what we would have wanted? A show on Boba Fett.
Cassian
on
and the
Bob.
What
blind
about the
guy were
Clone
the only
Wars?
characters
We
from
got
Rogue
that.
One
We
I
got-
actually
what about
respected or
Cassian?
wanted to get to know.
What?
Cassian and like the blind guy, they were the only guys that I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
Ca-
those are cool
I am one
characters.
with the
I
Force,
want to
the
know
Force
their
is with me. I am one
backstory.
with the Force, the Force is with me.
So like in terms of where the direct, I mean, so we're kind of speculating that like, okay, so we think that they're gonna do something with the balance between Rey and Kylo Ren. We have that like redemption story idea. What do you think is gonna happen in terms of the Resistance? Because the First Order and the Resistance is still a real
The
struggle.
Resistance is-
Despite
I think
the
they're
fact
gonna
that
The Resistance is
almost
gone.
dead.
I
They're
think they're
gone.
gonna continue resisting
yes, but-
resistance.
We
That's
are
the
the
thing.
spark
That's the
that'll light
thing,
the
though.
fire that'll
Is
burn the
in the
First
last
Order down.
movie, the ending tone is really weird because they're all hugging and happy on the Millennium Falcon with the 12 people they have left. But what happened to the rest of the Resistance?
They literally
all
all
of your
died.
people are dead.
And you know why?
Everybody died on Kree. All
And
the
who's
rest
to
of the
blame
Resistance.
for that?
And then
Rose.
all
Yeah.
all 12 people on the Millennium Falcon are like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a month. What's up, man? Wow."
Actually, it was like 2
we're
days.
we're
Like,
so
seriously.
happy, man. Oh yeah, I saw Luke Skywalker. Wow, that's cool. What about the rest of the Resistance? Didn't we have like 100,000 people out there? Yeah, they don't matter.
Well, I think we don't see.
You had a whole cruiser full of people. Where'd they all go?
We don't see everybody who got on board the Millennium Falcon. I mean, that's a pretty big ship. That cargo hold
Yeah,
could be
that's true.
full of people. The other thing
True,
is that there were
but
characters. That,
still.
I think that part of the Resistance wasn't there or wasn't available because in the Force Awakens, you've got a series of characters who were not in the Last Jedi.
Lando.
The guy with the beard, I forget his name.
Poe? No, not Poe.
Not Poe. He's actually mentioned in the comic books, the Poe Dameron comic books. So he's heavily pronounced. He's
Is
heavily used in there.
The bearded
He's
guy on
also-
Jakku?
Yes.
I don't remember his name. I didn't even actually know anything about him.
He's
I just
also
like,
in the Aftermath book series. And wow, that's really.
Oh
weird
yeah, I
that
think I know who you're talking
And,
about.
he's actually the kid who has Mr. Bones, the robot.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
that
yeah.
series.
Oh, is he?
That turns
Oh,
into
God.
him, the guy with the beard, and so he's not there, and he's got to be a prominent player at some point. So I think there's probably a bunch of them who are scattered who may not
Right.
have actually gotten
Well, I
the
would
message
I would
or
assume that not
unable
everybody.
to get there to help out. Because you could be like on the complete other side of the galaxy on some other mission, and then you're like, okay, well, I can't get there to help you.
Yeah, because
right now.
hyperspace, isn't the same thing it used to be. Now it's just going really fast.
It's not an alternate dimension
Yeah,
as we were
But
told
no,
by George
and not
Lucas.
just that, it's like even if you could get there, if you only had like one unit of troopers, why would you go to a planet that you know has like 8 ADM-6s that are waiting to blow up an entire base.
Well, they weren't
and
there
also
yet.
pretty much like half of the First Order's like fleet.
Well,
is
they
there.
couldn't do anything. They were
Right.
trapped on the ship.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean-
it would have been nice if Haldo had actually told us that before she just like made it seem like she was just gonna commit treason and stuff. Like,
That was something I was really confused about. I was like, you're telling me that this woman is a vice admiral
And yeah, you're
in
also,
what navy?
you're also telling me that she's the first person to ever come up with light speed as a weapon. Like, how
Yeah.
come we've never seen that before now? Because, you know, if you don't know about the real worlds, the military finds anything that can possibly be used as a weapon and they try and make it a weapon.
Yeah.
That's what the military does. So you're telling me this lady is the first person to ever think about going, wait a minute, what if I just go really fast into this ship, the flagship of the First Order, and destroy like 6 Star Destroyers in the process?
well, maybe before they weren't willing to sacrifice an entire ship.
Right.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
that
mean,
is a
it is the
big
resistance.
ship that they just
Still,
sent
though,
through there.
you
I
could
mean-
just build empty vessels
I
and
mean, it's not
launch
like-
them at the enemy.
But
at
they
like
had
it
so
costs
limited
money.
material.
To
Or
be
cost
fair,
money.
I mean, it's not like they took control of Kuat drive yards and they had defeated the Empire and Mon Calamari was building cruisers after cruiser after cruiser,
also-
designated warships to fight the Empire.
If it
Yeah,
it's
cost,
not like
also-
you didn't have a
also-
fleet.
if it cost money, like a lot of money, why didn't the Empire do it? Because they had like all the money in the galaxy. Why didn't they just build TIE fighters with hyperdrives and just go boom?
Well, because the thing about that was it needed to be such a huge ship for it to actually do anything. If it were a TIE fighter, it'd just like burn up. It wouldn't do
Yeah.
anything.
So
We
now
would need
here's
a
another
cruiser.
theory too: is when you watch them you watch them go into hyperspace, they kind of like they don't just disappear. You kind of see them streak away,
Right.
and they were in really close proximity, right? So maybe normally it wouldn't be all that effective because when you go into hyperspace, you just you disappear before you get them. But if she knew she had the right proximity
So then
to
what
make
about-
it happen, the right amount of mass, they could do something.
But then
She
again,
could
why
do
didn't
But
she
then what about
explain that?
hyperspeed
Like, you
out
could've-
of the
You could have
ship
done
that Han
that, like,
Solo
you know,
was in?
showing her like a monitor or something that shows like a proximity alert for like hyperspace.
Uh,
Like, you know, they have like
yeah.
they have to do calculations for hyperspace. He says in the first Star
But
Wars
what
movie
about
ever
the
made.
I mean,
Force Awakens when Han Solo smashes through his own ship to get out of there
I mean, here.
in the Millennium Falcon?
Well,
He
that's
was, like,
because they
1
used
foot from
the
wall.
alternate
Yeah.
dimension
there was an
method.
opening there, wasn't there?
Yeah,
No,
there
there,
was.
there
out-
wasn't an opening.
I don't
he,
think so.
He did the alternate dimension thing, so they broke their own like canon, and then they broke
That's the
their own
thing.
canon
Star
again
Wars-
in Rogue One
What's
when a
new?
Corvette goes hyperspace into Darth Vader's frickin' capital ship and doesn't tear that thing to pieces.
Yeah.
So the
And
other
the
thing to
Corvette's like an
remember
eighth of the size of a Star Destroyer.
is it's a movie. Everything about Star Wars defies the real laws of
The
physics.
thing about Star Wars,
So don't
'Cause,
get
like, you
too
don't need to-
bent up
Yeah.
over these little
I
details.
know, the
Do
thing-
you enjoy the story? Awesome.
Yes.
The thing about Star Wars is it is a shared universe, meaning everything contributes to it. Books, games, movies, everything. So, you know, when you change something super drastically, it can affect everything. You know, like R2-D2 in the Clone Wars can fly.
That's
You know,
another thing.
he goes
He
into
stopped
the
flying.
droid
Right,
ship
right,
of a
right.
flit ship, he can fly now, and it's like, okay, so R2 can fly now, that's new.
Before
and,
we-
you know,
But why does he not fly anymore? Like he couldn't
Yeah.
fly.
'Cause he's
Yeah.
old.
Before we move
That's
on
the
to
only
old.
explanation.
Before we move on to R2, can I just point out one thing? They arrive on Crate, old Resistance base, and I get it. They only had snow speeders to blow up AT-ATs on Hoth, but for crying out loud, it's an old Resistance base. There should be at least 1 or 2 eviscerated Y-wings there you can use.
or even an X-wing.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't know,
because they
like,
do move
try-
out most
they
of the
move
fleet.
it.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
try to get things out
Yeah.
of there. It's
And
pretty basic.
But
stuff.
they had a lot
They
of
were
ski
lucky that they
speeders.
had as
Yeah.
many ski
Again,
speeders as they
attach
had.
a like rope shooter to the back of a ski speeder
But
and
the thing
do the
about
same
that-
thing you did on Hoth.
But the
Like,
Gorilla Walkers, they have the wide stance and stuff, and
Yeah.
like
you
they're,
could still
there's so
do it.
many
It would
of
just
them.
take a lot
and they're
more
all
rope.
right next to each other. So you in the ski speeder, you would not be able to fit between there.
Mhm.
And this-
So you just
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to.
They're so shrinky dink. You
Mhm.
probably
Yeah.
wouldn't even be able to make a lap
And those
around.
things are pieces of junk.
Yeah.
They
so
really
it would
were.
just like break to pieces
Yeah.
if you tried to tie something up.
Junk.
I mean,
All right,
Oh,
so
well,
we're getting way off
wait,
topic.
Yeah,
Well-
Last Jedi nitpicks aside.
We're getting let's go.
back onto,
Let's
like,
move on to-
characters.
Let's
Foot goes
back,
through it.
back on the characters.
Let's-
Has anyone noticed that they haven't done much with R2 and C-3PO?
That is true.
Yeah.
They've just kind of been there. I don't
Yeah.
know. What I think they should have done is from the beginning make BB-8 R2-D2. From the beginning.
I like
Well, I
I like
kinda-
the incorporation of BB-8. He's a new kind of droid we haven't seen before,
And I kind of like
but-
the thing how R2 like doesn't function if Luke isn't around. Like
Yeah,
he's
it's
just
kind of
Yeah.
Well, he's very
That's
sad.
dark.
That's the thing. He has AI, so like
Yeah, but BB-8 also has AI. Another thing
But
I'd
he
like
still
to
has
see with
C-3PO,
BB-8,
and that's his
because
friend.
he's supposedly a recon droid, and he works in an X-wing, and it's something we didn't see on the R2 units and the R3 units, and it's because of their big bulky figure. But BB-8's small enough that I feel like he should have like some form of like weapon attached to him. He shouldn't just
Well,
be
he has
that
a
rolling
taser
ball.
and a lighter.
Yeah, but he had
He
like
has
a taser.
cigarette lighter in his
Yeah,
system.
he has
Do you
a
remember
cigarette-
that?
Yeah, but he has a cigarette he has a
It's a fusion
cigarette
cutter.
lighter and a
What?
taser. I mean, give him an E11 for crying out loud.
I don't
An
know,
E11,
it's a
those
little
are
weird.
big. I don't know.
I-
An E11 wouldn't fit.
Something
in
of
his
sufficient power. I mean, if he can roll himself around in that tiny little
But
ball.
think about all the technology in him to be able to fit a gun into.
Yeah,
that
he's
is
already
just
got a
Yeah.
lot in him.
He's able to shoot coins.
I want
mean,
to talk
that was a
about.
bit weird too.
That
Like,
was-
I want
because
to
how
talk
would he
about
have
like,
space in him to have all those coins? He's not hollow.
That's
He's got all this
true.
technology in him.
And how did that
I feel like that was
shooter?
just a comedy
how
gag.
did the coins fit exactly in the
Exactly.
shooter for it to be effective? Like, what was that like shooter's purpose?
Coincidence, not
Belt-fed,
convenience.
belt-fed
That's
magazine.
Yeah. But I wanted to
Have some
talk
money.
about mostly. I want to talk about Rose and why she exists. Why did they even write the character?
I mean,
She-
obviously they wanted
she-
us to like her.
I don't
but,
mean to. I
like-
don't like to have to like crap on all the lady characters, but like in the Last Jedi, Rose, what was her purpose?
I don't know, cause
She
like
brought them
got
to
you.
a casino.
the thing about it
for-
was I just got so annoyed when I saw Finn going towards the thing. He was gonna save the entire resistance. It was so cool, and then Rose smashes into him and stops him from saving anyone, and then says it's not about killing the ones you hate. It's about saving the ones you love.
And then she killed
And
the
it's
ones you
like,
loved in the
it was-
process.
Yeah, like she just made it so that the entire resistance just got destroyed.
The
Like
funny-
she just
Yeah.
killed thousands of
The
people.
funniest thing was, she's the person that tased Finn in the very beginning because he was trying to abandon the resistance. Her sister died in service to the resistance,
in a really
and then
bad bomber.
she completely like screws with it. And like
It doesn't make sense.
Finn's death
Like,
would have been so like good for
it would have been.
would've
yeah.
I mean,
good
like
for
I
his
don't want
It would've been a
Finn to die,
martyr.
but it would have been so.
It would have been
like-
moving. You would have felt emotion.
Yes.
Like, wow. So he just sacrificed himself
To save
the
everyone.
entire
Instead,
resistance.
Rose just
Like-
ruins everything.
And another
There's-
thing is, Finn would have been a martyr. He was a stormtrooper that quit, and then
Yeah.
killed
Save the
himself
entire
to save
resistance.
everyone.
But
else. He
instead
would've
it's
been a new
a-
symbol of hope.
It's like an episode of Nice Resistance that you have there. Be a shame if someone blew it up.
So there's a great video online. I think it's by a YouTuber called Lessons from a Screenplay. And I'll look it up and maybe we can have Connor. Hi, Connor. Maybe Connor can put the link to it down below. I'll send it to Connor. And in it, the YouTuber talks about how we have several main characters, and each of those main characters has a character that's going to help drive change within that character. Okay? And so for Finn, the character that's going to drive him to make choices is Rose. Right? Because at first he's like, I got to get out of here. I got to go save Rey. I don't want anything to do with this resistance. It's all about me, 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 me. But his interactions and time with Rose teaches him why he needs to make that sacrifice for the resistance. And then, of course, she stops him, which is kind of a weird point. I think it would have been really cool if he had died.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Yes, that would have been like
You
it
know.
would have been so influential and like
Mhm.
really a good death. I guess. I mean, like I don't want Finn dead, but it just would have been so good a way for him to
Right.
die.
Yeah.
But Rose becomes the fulcrum in which Finn balances his kind of destiny, I guess you will, right? She is the one that's going to force him to look at things differently so he can make a change.
I think you have a good point there, and also, but what I will say is, like, in terms of, like, the future of Star Wars, like, okay, so now she's done that for him, right? And he literally had his, like, almost the end of his character arc in that sense, in the terms of development, where he was like, okay, not selfish anymore, going to kill myself, save the resistance, right? She stops him. What is her role from here on out?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And this is where we're not going to know until December because
Right.
Maybe they'll actually
we
do
don't
something to
know.
make us like her.
One
I mean,
thing-
that would be great because I don't want to dislike her, but she's got so many things that she just stopped. She killed so many people by doing that. And
Exactly.
I just don't like someone who just killed the entire resistance.
Yeah,
I just
congratulations.
I
You
don't-
committed mass genocide.
I mean-
How does this make you feel?
Okay, I want to like
I don't
kind
know.
of move on.
Well,
Okay,
my only
yeah.
thought to this is that I don't know if his sacrifice was really going to make all that much of a difference, right? I mean, they were
could
stuck
have
in this
stopped
base.
the thing.
The only thing that was pretty much preventing the entire rebellion from dying was this big steel wall, which, I mean, they've got all these AT, whatever they're called.
NTs.
They were going to bust through there at some point in time. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
This crazy like tank thing that they had that were going to bust down the wall, that was just going to make things a
Death
little
Star
bit easier.
tech.
Right? So it was just a matter of time, and so I think his sacrifice would have been a waste, and really the only thing they would have gotten out of that is his martyrdom. They had no idea that Rey and Chewbacca were there with the Millennium Falcon trying to get them off, right? That they didn't know about this. So he thought he was going to save everyone, but in reality, would it have made that much of a difference?
That's
I
true.
mean,
All right.
Well, we're-
So
Can
Yeah.
I add two more things before we wrap this up? First thing is, at the end of the movie, did anyone notice the little kid on Canto Bight holding the broomstick like a lightsaber?
yeah.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they're going to do anything with that. I hope they do.
I think that's what they're gonna do with the next.
There was a new series directed by the Game of Thrones guys.
Yeah. And,
Ooh, actually though.
yeah, that
Like
might be good.
Canto Bight.
But like, and then the other thing is, if we're talking
Tatooine.
about characters and we're including R2 and C-3PO in the characters, I feel like, in a way, the Millennium Falcon is also technically a character because it's played a huge part in the last like 3 movies, if you're counting chronological. It should have some meaning in the last movie. I feel it should have it should either go down with Chewbacca and Han Solo, or it should be. I don't want to say put in the junkyard, but it should be like almost cast off, sort of, because if you're getting rid of Han Solo and now all that's left is Chewbacca, I mean, we see almost how much it has a huge impact on the community. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with it.
I think it would be interesting to see it get blown up with like Chewie or something in there.
Yeah.
Like have this awesome, amazing dog. That ship has survived so many dogfights, and now if we're ending the Skywalker saga, we should probably end the Millennium Falcon too, because it is such a symbol of the Skywalker.
It'd
and
be
we-
sad,
we've
but
seen-
if it's something like what Finn was gonna do, except like actually it worked, like then that could be definitely good.
I mean,
But
Yeah,
like
well,
I mean I don't
the
want
Millennium
to
I wanted
die
to
and
talk
like
about-
Chewie.
no,
died.
it's
It would be
almost like
sad and horrible, but think
It
about
would-
like
Well, these
this is
characters
the
aren't
conclusion
immortal.
of
I-
9.
I mean,
I-
we can see about how
movies,
much
right?
we can see about how much influence the Millennium Falcon with Rey and it had on the Battlefront 2 community. None.
I wanted to talk
So I
about,
mean, it really has no purpose
I
anymore.
want to talk about one last thing right before we wrap it up. Is the problem I have the most, the character I have the most gripes with, Captain Phasma. The one that I believe
oh my gosh.
is the most
Yes.
underused
I
character
thought
in
she
any
was gonna
Star Wars
be-
film.
She's
so
She was-
She is a battle-hardened warrior. She's played by Brienne of Tarth, which is awesome. She's
Yeah.
an awesome actress. She's more
Yeah.
than capable of playing this role.
Yeah.
But how much screen time did she get? Like 5 minutes.
I
Total.
thought she
And
was gonna be like
like
a
they
Boba
have
Fett
a-
that they built on.
I
They
know.
I
have
thought
a-
that's what
Yeah.
that was
They
gonna
have
be.
a deleted scene in the 8th that they have in the special features that is really cool.
Oh,
But that they just didn't use.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
one where
What
she.
was
So
it?
what happens is like she comes up when she comes up on the elevator, whatever happens, right? Her stormtroopers start getting up. There's more that are alive. Obviously, it's not just her. Obviously, like some other stormtroopers.
So this is
survive.
after she's
after
Holdo
she's
is smashed
blown-
through
yeah.
everything and the
And so
ship's
they're in
burned.
that hangar with Finn and Rose, and she's there, and she's like, the stormtroopers start getting up, and then Finn says something about what she did with the
Putting the shields
putting
down.
the shields down. He's like, "What if your troops knew that?" And she turns around
And shoots all four of them.
all of her troops that are standing there.
Whoa.
And it's
And
That would have been
it's,
awesome.
and then she
Yeah.
like
That would've made
does an
sense.
actual fight with Finn, and it's epic. And they cut
so
it out.
she dropped.
I mean-
what shields did she drop?
The ones
Remember
for
in
the
Force Awakens?
in the Force
Yeah.
Awakens for Starkiller
she
Base.
apparently pinned
Oh,
it.
yeah.
What she did was she
long
pinned
time
it on
before.
another stormtrooper, but you could have showed that in the thing. But like
yeah,
the thing
and then
is,
she turns around and
she-
kills all her men, and it's
Yes.
so cool.
Yeah. I
And
mean-
what should have
like,
She
happened?
doesn't,
What
like,
should have happened? She should have.
so
She should
fast.
have been with Finn's character arc. She should have helped it. What she should have done is it should have been Finn in the first movie. She absolutely kicks his butt. All right, she absolutely kicks his butt. Honestly, like, you know the random guy he faces, the traitor, that guy?
Yeah.
That should have been Phasma.
That would've been
He
cool.
should have faced her. She should have destroyed him in the first fight, showing that he's just a grunt. She's a battle-hardened warrior.
And then
She's
we see him beat
super
her.
elite.
Yeah.
And then in
Yeah.
the next movie, this should be like a standstill, you know, like showing that he's actually progressed as a character
Almost
and he's
like
changed.
an Obi-Wan
But
versus the
her
Anakin style fight.
hatred has made her, you know, weak. But
Yeah.
then
I mean,
in the
so-
third movie, it all
Very
comes
cool.
to a final circle and it
That-
finishes.
Let
I
me
mean,
just say
May.
one
It
thing
may.
before we end is that,
Lando Calrissian.
well,
Yes.
yes, but
He's
So
got
excited
it.
for
He's
some
got
Lando.
it
So
coming.
hyped.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
no,
feel
I saw
like-
this meme and it was like, I've been in a coma since Endor. Man, I can't wait to see how my friends Han, Leia, and Chewie or Han, Leia, and Luke are doing.
That's just hard.
Oh, God.
I'm
But-
hoping there's lots of Lando, but
I
we
mean,
do
we
need to
gotta
go
have
because
that.
Bella's
Yeah.
young.
All right,
And with the like,
What?
we gotta
yeah,
go.
Yeah, the very end. With the whole like Lando thing, I'm really excited for that too. But
He's gonna die.
I mean,
he's
like-
gonna die.
it's so predictable.
Everyone dies but Lando.
I mean,
Let's do it.
Oh,
Luke,
yeah.
Luke dies, Han dies, Leia pixie fairy dusts her way back into the
Exactly.
into the cruiser
Oh.
because Disney and Chewie and Millennium Falcon are going to die. We can already see that coming.
Yeah.
Where's Lando? Almost has to die.
But we are out of time.
All right, we
for
gotta
today.
go.
Lando has to die.
Thank
R2
you
has
so
to die.
much
C3PO
for
has to die.
watching.
They all have to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Bit of a
Yes.
ranty video, but hope you enjoyed it
See
anyway.
you next
Yeah,
Wednesday.
very
Kind of a
ranty video.
rambly sort of thing.
Yes.
See you next Wednesday.